Welcome back to another episode of Link's Awakening DX. Last time, we started the game, not much to say there. And, most importantly, we got the Tail Key. So this time, we are going to use that key to enter Tail Cave and do the first dungeon. And in my opinion, this is going to sound ridiculous, but the boss of this first dungeon here is probably seriously the hardest boss in the game. Maybe. So as you can see, we kind of inserted the key the wrong way, but it still worked. Anyway, this first dungeon's boss, that might just sound completely stupid, so forgive me if it does, but the first boss, I think it's pretty difficult, mostly just considering at this point, you know, you have very few items, and you only have 3 hearts. And as well as, you know, something else about the boss that we'll see when we get there. Oh look, another acorn, that's just great, man. I know for a lot of these dungeons, you don't have to see every single corner of every room, and there's stuff that's skippable, but the thing is, whenever I replay this game, it's just, like, instinctual for me to just explore every inch of the place. I know that a lot of the parts of the dungeon are quite unnecessary. At this point, I probably would not need to get the map or compass anymore, because I've just played this game so many times, of course. I don't remember every dungeon off the top of my head, but point is, I definitely don't need to be as thorough with the dungeons as I typically am, but I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway. Anyway, as you can see, we got some new enemy types here. We got some fucked up skeletons that like to jump around. I don't know my Zelda enemies very well. I think these are Stelphos. Oh, there goes that guy. He just jumped into the pit. And we got a map. I always thought the map sprite in this game looked a little odd. It's very vertical for a map, but whatever. Yeah, as the first dungeon, you know, there's a couple of new enemies here, like this weird wiggly worm who likes to fly around the room. But again, it's the first dungeon. Oh, he's running away from me. It's the first dungeon. There's nothing crazy here. Of course, you probably expect that. As you can see here, we have a weird-looking wall to the left. And we have another fucking acorn. Oh my god, these things are everywhere. I don't need them. I don't remember what the criteria for the power triangle and the acorn to spawn are. It's something related to killing enemies, but I just don't remember what. Anyway, as you can see, we have a cracked wall over here. You can tap into it with your sword in here. Makes a weird clanking noise. You're supposed to bomb that open. And I think at this point, at this early in the game, I think you can have bombs, but I would always just beeline straight here into the first dungeon and then just backtrack once I got the bombs afterwards. It's just, you know, that's just how I roll, of course. That weird, like, clanker thing kind of clipped inside of that block for a second. That was awkward. Oh my god. How did I fall for that? I suck at this game. Nah, just kidding, we're fine. This block puzzle here is always strange to me, considering you can push this, here, let me show this again so I can explain what just happened. The way this room is laid out, I think it's pretty obvious they want you to push the block, you know, like this, to open the door. But as you can see, you can just push this block in literally any direction, and it will still work, so it's a bit weird. Anyway, another new enemy, these weird guys who, they will charge at you, and you gotta bump them with your shield and attack them. I've heard apparently you can, once you get the shovel, you can flip the shovel at them to flip them over, but I have never gotten that to work, so I don't think it's real. As you can see here, we also have more new enemies, Goombas, just straight up Goombas from Mario. And you may be wondering, you know, it's a bit weird that there's Goombas in this game if we're not allowed to jump on them. Well, that is where you would be fucking wrong, because we just got the Rock's Feather. And, despite being the very first dungeon's item, this is probably the best dungeon item in the entire game, next to maybe the final dungeon's item. The feather is completely broken, because jumping enables you to just be invincible to almost everything, so you can just jump all over the place and never get hit. Anyway, as you can see, you can just jump straight up on these Goombas' heads and kill them, and if you beat a Goomba by jumping on its head, you actually will always get a heart to drop from it, so if you ever need, like, quick healing in the dungeon, just head back to that room with the Goombas and take them out. My god. As you can see, the acorn actually helped out there, because we did not take any damage from, oh, well, we got hit twice and didn't take any damage from it either time, funny enough. Of course, now the acorn effect is gone, which means that annoying acorn theme is not constantly blaring anymore, so it's okay. Nah, that theme's not that annoying, it's whatever. Anyway, got the Nightmare Key. I don't really, well, I don't know, I guess that was a thing in, like, Link to the Past as well, getting the boss key to get into the boss room. Speaking of Link to the Past, this game takes many pages from that game's book, considering, you know, Link to the Past was the third Zelda, and this is, like, the fourth Zelda. And this game is basically like a... Not like a port, of course, this game is very different, but this game is basically like Game Boy Color, or I guess Game Boy Link to the Past. Anyway, you got these infamous guys who flicker between different card suits, and you have to hit them and make them stop on all the same suit. Look at that. They all stopped on hearts, so I got hearts from them. I want to say, if you kill them all when they're at Diamond, then they'll actually drop rupees. I probably should have done that, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, we got the beak now, so we can read the owl statue, what they have to say. Turn aside the spined ones, I'm sorry, the spined ones with the shield. And don't worry, I already figured that out. The funny thing as well, I don't know why they chained this. Well, I changed, even, not chained, what the fuck. I guess I understand why, but in the Game Boy version of this, these were not actually owl statues. These were very weird, out-of-place looking stone tablets on the wall with text etched into them, and you had to find the missing, like, carved out, like, break. The fragment, yeah, the carved out fragment of the statue. And you would have to put it in so you could read the full message. And I guess the reason they changed it to be an owl statue is because there are other owl statues that give hints throughout the game. Whatever. Anyway, first mini-boss, this fucking weird cartoon character who throws his steel roller at you, and you can just jump over it and be perfectly fine. This boss is a joke. And it is the very first boss in the game, the first mini-boss in the game, so I would kind of hope he's a joke. Anyway, now it's time for the first real boss, and like I said, in my opinion, this genuinely might be the most difficult boss in the game. And it's because of this. It's because of the pits on the edge of the arena. If he's very big, you will clank off of him if you hit him with your sword, and that can send you flying into the pit. And if you fall in the pit, the boss fight resets and you have to hit him again. Like, his health resets, I mean. So let's try not to get hurt too badly here. This is the fight that teaches you that, oh my god, what the hell? Oh my god. This is, yep, that's kind of what I was talking about. That fight, it's very tough. Maybe because I was trying to go for spin attacks and I wasn't getting any of them. But, well, I guess let's just try that again. The boss doesn't have much health, so I'd like to get a spin attack off, but he's so big that it can be difficult. I think this boss is here to teach you just how overpowered jumping is. There we go. Okay. I probably exaggerated when I said this was the hardest boss, but I should rephrase. It's not the hardest boss. I think it's the boss where you're most likely to die against. I should say that. Because it's not hard, but you only have 3 hearts at that point, and if you get unlucky, you can kind of just fuck up, but I mean, you know, this game is not hard. It's a, like, you know, it's a kid's game. It's for the Game Boy. It's pretty basic, all things considered. Some of the puzzles are, you know, pretty confusing. Shout out to Eagle Tower. We'll fucking get there. But this game is not very difficult, of course. Especially not for someone like me, who's a fucking grown-ass adult playing a kid's game that I've played 100 times before. It's obviously not very difficult for someone like me. Nope, there's our goal for the game. We gotta get all 8 of the magical instrument MacGuffins. Anyway, head off to the swamp, and yeah, now we have 4 hearts, and pretty shortly here, should be getting, pretty soon, our very first heart piece. And, of course, if you played Zelda, oh, fuck out of my way, kid, I'm trying to get through here. Oh, I remember, actually, I think if you press B here, no, was it start? I thought there's something, I thought you could actually skip these kids' dialogue. There's like a very small amount of dialogue in this game that you're allowed to skip. That may have only been in the original Game Boy version. I don't know. Fuck, what was I saying? Pretty soon here, you know, if you've played Zelda before, you know how heart pieces work. You get 4 of them, and you get extra max health. So now, let's just head back through the forest, and go to the swamp. Alright, before we head over into the swamp, we have got a little detour we're gonna want to take. Oh shit, you saw when we were, last time, going to trade in the toadstool for the magic powder, you probably saw a heart container over here. Piece of heart, whatever the hell you want to call it. We can now jump over it and just collect that stuff easily. And we can try to go north or east from here, but in both situations, we will just get blocked off by rocks. This is what I was talking about earlier, these owl statues in the overworld. They give, like, hints and vague story, you know, moments, I suppose. They give, like, cryptic hints about gameplay and story. I'm guessing that's why they changed the stone tablet in dungeons to be owls, is to match the theme. Anyway, over here we got the camera shop. New to DX. This was not in the original Game Boy version. Will you let me take your picture? Why, of course. Of course, everybody, I think, knows at this point that if you say no to that guy wanting to take your picture, he'll just keep pestering you over and over again. And if you just continue saying no, he'll just beat the shit out of you and take a picture of you knocked out. Oh, I put a space at the end of my name. Oh, god damn it. I never even noticed. Well, I guess now we are MothSpace. Bit unfortunate, but you know what? Your player name doesn't really matter in this game. Yet. The Travels of MothSpace. Do you want to look at your album? Let's take a look. I don't need a tutorial on how to navigate a menu, don't worry, but... Oh, look at that, isn't that awesome? And unfortunately, on my Nintendo PC, I do not actually have a Game Boy printer, so... Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to be printing any of these pictures. I'm kind of curious as to what they actually look like in real life, because I've never owned a Game Boy printer. This is very before my time. Anyway, let's run in here. Let's get rid of him. Try me, pussy. Oh my god. Yeah, you can see, I said earlier, this game's not very hard, and it's because most enemies will typically just drop hearts upon death, and heart pickups are not uncommon, so it's kind of hard to die in this game unless you're very bad at it, or very reckless. Oh, you must be an assassin. That line was always funny to me. The fact that they just say the word assassin. I don't know, maybe I'm dumb. Okay. Another not-so-difficult boss. You just let him fling some arrows at you, and then step out of the way as he charges into the wall. And you just do this like 2 or 3 times, and then you're golden. I'm sure you can kill him in fewer, like, cycles than that, but I'm not a speedrunner. Yeah, there we go. The noise the boss makes when they die, it was always very amusing to me. That sounded a little sadistic out of context, but whatever. Anyway, look, we got Bow Wow. Crazy. So now... I think you can just go straight back to town at this point. You know what? I'm actually curious. What you're supposed to do at this point, of course, is to just change course and go over into the swamp now that you have Bow Wow, but I'm curious. Let's find out what happens if you bring him back to town immediately. Alright, we just about made it back to town, and it was pretty quick as well because we ended up getting a piece of power, so now we're really fast. So what happens if because normally you're supposed to return the dog here, but what happens if you go here right now? Would you be a deer and take him for a walk? It would really help me out a lot. Okay, well, I guess that's the game's justification for having you continue to bring the dog around. That's kind of funny, actually. Anyway, I feel like there's something else to do down in the town right now, but, I guess I'm just dumb, because whatever it was, I forgot. So let's just actually go to the swamp this time. Alright, new area. Not at the swamp quite yet, but... Got a curious little alcove, I guess. I don't think that's the correct term here, but... a strange little area over here with some more chests. Get 20 rupees. Holy shit. Can I make this jump? Oh my god, I'm so godlike. And there's another chest there that we can't pick up because of the most dreaded thing in this game. Wow, this looks pretty heavy. You won't be able to lift it with just your bare hands. Oh god. Get fucking used to that one. We're not gonna have to put up with it for much longer. Well, yeah, we are. The nag messages in this game are one of the worst parts, of course. You know, accidentally, you know, like, brushing your arm against a rock and being informed that you're too much of a pussy to be able to lift it. As you can see, yeah, now that we have Bow Wow, this is how we get through the swamp, is we just have him eat these otherwise invincible flowers for some reason. And as well over here, there's some chests. 50 rupees. Pretty nice. Now that we have Bow Wow, we can set foot into Dungeon 2. And that is what we are going to do next time. We're going to explore Dungeon 2, so I will see you then.